Good morning. I'll be playing a piece for all the grandmothers and everyone who's had a grandmother called Grandmother's Kisses. This is a wonderful French composer, Deodat de Séverac, and written in 1911. He's been sort of forgotten, and his piano music's really good.
Thank you, Barbara. What a wonderful way to begin our morning by quieting our minds, opening our hearts. Welcome, everyone, to Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. It's good to be together. It's good to be together with people who question here in the sanctuary and here in the sanctuary and virtually with us at home. I'm Ren Corbet, your service associate today. I'm 73 years old, gray hair, 6'3", wearing a blue shirt, gray pants. Summit is a liberal religious community. We are bound together, not necessarily by being of the same mind, but being of the same heart, of universal love and a shared commitment to a compassionate, just, and sustainable world. We draw our inspiration from all the world's religions, as well as humanist teachings, nature, science, philosophy, and personal practices. We are spiritual adventurers. Much like writer and reformer Julia Ward Howe, author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and more importantly, author of the original 1870 pacifist Mother's Day Proclamation. a call for women worldwide to unite for peace and to oppose the war of men, emphasizing the role of women in promoting international understanding and peace. Julia Ward Howe was a Unitarian. For those online, if you are new and would like to know more, we invite you to go to our website, summituuf.org. If you're here in person, we invite you to stick around after the service and join us for coffee. We have one announcement today, Al Mork.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Yeah, I'm Al Mork, Chair of the Social Justice and Action Committee. And I want to remind people that today is our monthly meeting, and at noon today in the library. And I know it's Mother's Day, and I'm trying to make it relatively brief, but there are some important issues that need to be attended to, and so we're going to have that. We're going to have the meeting, and all are welcome. So, thank you.
Thank you, Al. Our commitment to justice compels us each Sunday to pause and acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Kumeyaay people. This land was not freely given, and the history of its taking is part of the story we inherit. We honor the resilience, sovereignty, and ongoing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. Our chalice, the flaming chalice, was first used as a symbol by Unitarians during World War II to represent the core values of sacrifice and love in the face of adversity. Mary, could I ask you to light the chalice this morning, please? Today's lighting is by Betts Weinecke. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. Now please rise as you're able to sing our UU hymn and aspiration. Fellowship, may the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. We welcome Reverend Casey to the pulpit for our reading.
Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Casey Marie Pandell. It is my joy and honor to be the minister here at Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether it is your first visit or your 5,000th visit, you are whole, you are holy, you are loved, and you are so welcome here. I am a, for once, slightly taller than 5'4" woman, because I have wedges on today, with shoulder-length blue hair, a black lace dress, and a purple stole with a floral pattern and a gold chalice. Our reading today are words from Marilyn Falkowski, "Come whoever you are." We welcome you. We know you come here for different reasons. to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, and challenge, and love here. We hope you will find ways to provide outreach to others in our community, here at Summit, outside in Santee, and in the world community at large. Welcome to worship. Please rise in mind, body, or spirit, and welcome our music director, Jerica Stone, to the pulpit.
Good morning, friends. Happy Mother's Day, and Mary taught me Happy Nurturer's Day, and I love that. Sorry, I stole that from you. This morning, we're going to do something a little bit different for our first hymn. So, if you feel super brave, we're going to use our bodies to create a beat. So, if I can get everybody, I'm going to talk really loud from over here, from your chest or your legs or your arms, find something and just yes, don't go too fast on us now. Stay nice and steady. Good. Now, if I can get half of you slightly more brave friends to give us a second beat. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Yes. So on top of that, we have this gorgeous chant that we can sing. So we're going to learn just the melody of our chant real quick, and it's just going to sit wherever it is in your bodies. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Just do our hey-yas, because that'll be the one that we repeat lots of times. So our hey-yas are hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Yes. So we're going to add it all together now. Our first beat, just sitting, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Add that next, 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now we're going to add our vocals to that. We're going to always sing our chants twice, and then our lyrics are going to change a little bit. You ready? We can do it. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Our next verse. And Mother, I hear you in the river song, eternal water flowing on and on. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Our last verse, 2, 3. Mother, I see you in the eagle flies.
Light of the Spirit gonna take us high. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya.
Two more hey-yas. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for bringing us something a little bit different, Jerica. Our joys and concerns portion of our Director of Religious Exploration, Mary Carter Vale.
Good morning.
I brought props again. You guys like props, I noticed. So happy Mother's Day, happy Nurturers Day to all who identify in that way. Say it again. Feliz de Madre. Working on my Spanish. I'm not very good at it, but I'm learning. Thank you to my teachers. So I have a story for you today. This one's about a school. One of my major jobs, parenting, and anybody who's parented, be it a human being or anything else, is teaching, right? We all have to teach each other how to live in community together, and that's kind of what school is, right? It's kind of teaching us how to be when it's at its best, I should say. It's teaching us how to be in community together. So this story is a fable by George Rebus, and it calls for certain animals, some of which I happen to have and some of which I don't. So we're going to play with props today. So can you imagine how boring the world would be if we were all the same? Pretty boring, huh? Today in our RE lesson, we're going to exploring about awakening our curiosity about diversity. And how can we build a bridge to a more diverse world? How can we celebrate the diversity? So with that in mind, the story we're going to share today is called Animal School. And it's a story that celebrates diversity by reminding us to embrace the things that we are good at, while also understanding that it's okay to do things differently. So here we go. Once upon a time, the animals decided that they must do something heroic to meet the problems of a new world. They organized a school to solve this problem. They adopted an activity curriculum for the school. It consisted of running, climbing, swimming, and flying. To make it easier on the administration, they decided that all animals would take all subjects. Makes it a lot easier, right? When we all take all subjects? Okay. So the duck was excellent at swimming. In fact, better than the duck's instructor. But the duck only made passing grades in flying and was very poor in running. Since he was so slow in running, he had to stay after school and also had to drop swimming in order to practice running. And he kept this up until his webbed feet were sore, and he became only an average swimmer then because his webbed feet were sore. But average was acceptable at the school, so nobody complained and nobody worried except Duck. Duck worried. So the rabbit started at the top of his class in running, but he had a nervous breakdown because there was so much makeup work in swimming. Rabbits don't swim very well. And then the squirrel, I don't have a squirrel, but I do have a chicken, who I think will do. Oh, the duck fell down. The chicken, this is Henrietta for those. The squirrel, aka chicken, was excellent in climbing. Chickens are not so good at climbing, but squirrels are. And he did really well in climbing until he developed frustration in the flying class, where his teacher made him start from the ground instead of up in the treetops. If anybody knows chickens, they do much better flying down than flying up. So he also developed a Charlie horse from overexertion and ended up with a C in climbing and a D in running. Poor thing. Now the eagle, and we don't have an eagle, but we have an owl, which I think will work for eagle energy, don't you? So the eagle was labeled a problem child and was disciplined severely. But in reality, the eagle was just extremely misunderstood. In climbing class, the eagle beat everybody to the top of the tree, but he did it in his own way. And so the others couldn't quite climb the way the eagle could. At the end of the year, an abnormal eel, this is my abnormal eel, that could swim extremely well and could also run and climb and fly a little, had the highest score and was the valedictorian for the whole school. Now, the prairie dogs, we have a dog, prairie dogs, they stay out of school. They fought the tax levy because the administration would not add digging and burrowing to the curriculum. And they apprenticed their children to a badger and later joined the groundhogs and gophers and started a successful charter school. So I love this story because it celebrates the diversity that we all have. Everybody in here is not good at climbing. There might be some very good climbers. Not everybody here is good at swimming. We might have some very good swimmers, et cetera, et cetera. We all bring our unique gifts to community. And none of us are average. We're all amazing, right? Especially when we're celebrated for our own unique gifts. So today in RV, we're going to be celebrating diversity, and we're going to be making stained glass. We're using stained glass as a metaphor for diversity because there's so many different colors and textures that all come together to make a beautiful image. So that's what we're doing today. So I hope you enjoyed the animal school. I hope you all practice your swimming and climbing so that you will not be average. You're all amazing. So thank you so much. That's my story for you today. And now we have our children's song.
On your program,
Guys, wanna help me
it
with
says
the
Go Your Path. We're actually going to be singing our Do Re Mi 1 2 3 children's song.
I didn't know my phone was on.
I don't want to tell you how embarrassing it is that after almost a decade as a UU, I've just realized that's our principals in the kids' version. Oops. Which is funny because, well, that's a story for another time. Might work for today's sermon. There is a hymn, thank you. It is your turn. That's what I get for not having you come all the way up here. Man, I'm not preaching days I gotta fly anymore. I don't like it. It's still my turn. I still want to sing stuff. Please stand as you are able. For Mother's Day, I want to focus on the variations of women that we have in our lives. So we're going to be singing Lady of the Season's Laughter.
Teach our spirits not to fear. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning year. Sister of the evening starlight, in the falling shadow stay here among us till the far light of tomorrow's dawn hearts to end oppression, writing history's mirror page. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning age.
Thank you. Please join me in a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection as I read words from Linda M. Hansen entitled, May We Seek the True Questions. Let us enter into a spirit of meditation. Much of our human struggle is with what we do not know or understand. It is often difficult not to want answers, or even more difficult, not to think we have them already. May we experience what we do not know, not as an individual failure, but as an invitation to community. May we seek not the true answers, so much as the true questions, knowing that true questions make our lives meaningful, even if sometimes on restless journeys. May we be grateful for the restless voices in our communities. Let us take a few moments of silence to listen for the restless voices within ourselves. May we be good company to one another in our question and in our journeys. So may it be. When I first came to Summit, before I was even hired here, I remember, I think it was Debbie on the search committee who told me about this practice that you all had that I knew as a talkback. I had been told what a talkback was by various colleagues who hated the concept. Because every single time my colleagues had had a talkback, they would give the sermon, and the people receiving the sermon would tell them all the things they didn't like about the sermon that day. And I was not thrilled about that. That idea scared the heavens out of me. So when I was told that Summit did talkbacks, I went, okay. And when I started here, I started telling people when they would ask me, oh, are you going to keep doing that? I went, oh, no, I don't think I will. You think I would have kidnapped a puppy? But that's a good thing, because as people would tell me, oh, no, you have to do this. You have to let us have this space. I kept wondering to myself, what is so important about this? My first Sunday here, scared out of my mind, I will admit it to all of you, I was told, no, you have to do it your first day. And I went, oh God, okay, fine. And it was spectacular. See, talkbacks, we don't do talkbacks here. What we have here is circle gathering. And that's one of my favorite things to tell people about. When people ask me about Summit, when people say, what do you love about Summit? That's one of my favorite things to proudly tell people about. There's this awesome post-service spiritual practice they do that has nothing to do with me and my ministry. It is something that they have grown into over all the time they've been here. They ask questions. They grapple with things that brought up wonderings for them in the service. They have conversations with each other. They hold each other in space. It is a beautiful practice of wondering and being together. Beware any minister that tells you they have all the answers for everything. You'll notice when we do talk back, which is not talk back, when we do our circle gathering, we get lots of questions. Often I will give you an answer, but I won't tell you it's the answer. Last week, someone asked a question, and just because I didn't get a chance to ask their permission beforehand, I will not say their name. But somebody shared that their home tradition, if I'm understanding the connection correctly, people are seen outside of creation. So sometimes it's difficult to see the divinity in ourselves when you've been raised to think that you're outside of it. And they said, how do I start seeing the divine in myself? I did not answer the question. I just asked another one. Aren't you part of nature? Aren't you part of creation? Sometimes I think the questions that we ask are much, much, much more important. Who has ever asked a question that they really did not want to know the answer to? Yeah, I like all the nervous laughter. Sometimes the questions are more important because they open up much more possibility. I have a friend I was speaking with recently who works for a small creative company doing creative stuff. I'm not exactly sure. And they have this suspicion. They're small enough to where they're pretty innocuous, but they're big enough to where they have multiple bosses. And they're pretty sure that one of their bosses just doesn't like them. And it bugs them more than I've ever seen anything bother this person. And they said, what am I supposed to do if they don't like me? And I said, what does it matter? This person is very good at their job. They're not boastful. They're not, they don't think they're the most amazing in the world. They're just good at their job, and they just don't understand why this boss doesn't like them. And the more they kept asking, why don't they like me, the more worked up they got. At the end, I finally asked, if they don't like you, does that mean your work isn't good? I said, no, I guess not. Now, I'm not, I say all the time, I'm not like the be-all, end-all of anything. So I don't think this is a revolutionary thought. But it was interesting to watch them ask this question over and over and over again, and how it built up in their body, and how it really upset them. So sometimes our questions can also be something of a hindrance to us if we don't really want to know the answer. But when we're traveling these journeys together, when we get those questions like, how do I find the divine in myself when I've been told it's not there? Or how do I find the divine in the person that has said something hurtful to me? Those are the questions that open up really interesting possibilities. I've been reading Let This Radicalize You by Hayes and Kamba, C-K-A-M-A. And one of the things they talk about is organizing is not matchmaking. I thought that was a really interesting point, because it's not just about organizing, because we do a little bit of organizing here, but when we're in community like this together, we still have to have people in the room with us that don't share every single belief with us, right? That's why a lot of you are here, because in your home faiths, your ingrained ones, you were told, this is what we believe, and this is what you follow. But here as Unitarian Universalists, what do you get to do? You get to question, you get to wonder. But sometimes our wonderings can brush up against someone else's beliefs and get a little tender. And what Hayes and Kawa talk about in Let This Radicalize You is having the willingness to sit in those uncomfortable questions together. One of the organizers they talked to, Ali Ware, who is an undocumented immigrant from Angola, I think, talked about how when he got here, there was so much bad that happened to him that when he would get those questions from people who didn't agree with him, he'd push back and tell them, no, this is how it's supposed to be, and if you're not on board, you can leave. Does that help us build relationship? No. That makes people really not want to be in relationship with us. So he said the more stumping that he did, the more he was out in the community talking to people and listening to their stories, hearing the questions behind the things they said, even when it hurt, even when it was offensive, he was able to see what their hopes and fears were. So even if he heard, as an immigrant, anti-immigrant sentiments, when he could stop being upset instantly about those things that hurt his feelings, he was able to see where their feelings matched. And I thought that was a really powerful way to think about that, because I hear that question come up a lot during our Sunday circle gatherings. How do I go talk to that family member who disagrees with me so vehemently? How do I go talk to that neighbor who voted a way that I don't agree with? We're in a really interesting, to be generous, historical point. And there is a lot of pain and anger and hurt from all sides. I don't always think the work of repair is everyone's to do, but everyone has a role in doing it. And I think people like us in this space are gonna have a really important job to do when it comes to making those repairs happen down the road. We're gonna have to sit in those spaces with people that we don't disagree, that we don't agree with, that do not align with us ideologically. And we're gonna have to hear those hard questions. And we're gonna have to ask hard questions. And we're going to have to be okay with the fact that we either won't like the answer and have to work towards an answer we can agree on, or we have to be okay with the fact that we might never get a satisfactory answer. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the point isn't knowing everything. I think when we can ask those difficult questions, those uncomfortable, tender questions, it gives us the space to open up our perspectives. Tom, I think you asked a question about knowing. When you know in your heart that something is true, how do you leave space for those questions? I think that's just it. Maybe it's just leaving space for the questions. And maybe that feels like an unsatisfactory answer to you. I promise you, I don't know everything. Again, beware any minister that says they do. I realized this week for myself, as I was getting so worked up about how much work I have to do going into my classes this week, that I wasn't asking enough questions. Not of my classes, but of my work here. I was kind of on autopilot because everything's going just fine. But sometimes that's an important time to ask questions too. And it doesn't have to be what's wrong. It can be as simple as, what do you need? What are you missing? What can I help you with? And it was a really important moment for me this week to remember that we can't do community alone. I can have every question in the world, but it doesn't matter if it stays up here. I have to be brave and willing to come be in this space and ask those questions with my friends, with my family, with my Summit family. It's okay that we don't always know the answers. I think it's kind of weird when people say they do know everything. Because how do we change and grow and dream a better future when we think we already know everything how we are? Our benediction's a little different this week, so this is my last attempt at nailing it before the end of the day. Thank you for that poll last week. Sitting in those uncomfortable places is what helps that growth. Being willing to be vulnerable and to be in those spaces with each other is how we do that uncomfortable growth. It's also how we know we can be valued, seen, and respected exactly as we are. We just have to be able to tell when Other people's questions are rubbing up against ours in ways that might not feel great. But what a beautiful opportunity to ask another question, not with the goal of having an answer, but with the goal of learning something different, learning something new. What a powerful gift that we have in a faith like this, where we get to ask those questions, and we don't just get to, but we're encouraged to, together in these spaces every single week. So ask your questions. Be okay without the answers. I don't have the answers, but gosh, do I want to go on the journey with you. So may it be, and amen.
We will now receive the offering. Your Sunday morning gifts provide this fellowship the financial resources to help build a better world together. Every gift is welcome. If you prefer, we've included a QR code in the Sunday service, in the order of service. For those of you technically inclined. For those of you on Zoom, please select the Sunday plate option in the chat box link.
So in the spirit of asking questions, this is Robert Schumann's Warum, which means why in German. And he wrote this during a difficult period in his life, so you're going to hear the tenderness in the question, and you're also, when you ask a question, your voice goes up at the end of it. And even notice that the piece ends with a question. It doesn't resolve.
For today's benediction, I invite you to stand with me as you're able. You can choose to sing with me, our music is here, or you can just let the words sit in your body. May you go out with your minds open. May you go out with your hearts full. May you carry the peace you feel through the spinning wheel of days.
close our service by extinguishing our chalice with words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Those of you who are new today, we invite you to stay afterwards to join us here in the sanctuary in about 5 minutes or so for our community gathering to discuss the sermon topic, or you can head right over to our salon for food and fellowship. The salon is a separate building on the other side of the parking lot. Folks on Zoom, you're welcome to join the community gathering and to contribute. Now let's join hands for our closing circle song.